This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
And you are on the mission of the 21st Century Planet Smashers. Dark Star. 20 years in space, 1 million light years from Earth. Their job is to clear a path for the colonization of space.
Back home in Malibu. I used to surf a lot, Talby. I used to be a great surfer.
Travel in an infinite universe with mind-melting excitement from beyond the stars. There is an inexorable force in the cosmos where time and space converge, where the here and now may be forever. An unavoidable whole moving through space, swallowing everything in its path. Now, man is about to enter the black hole. A journey that begins where everything ends.
Was a long time coming, and JJ was always bringing it up. I had seen parts of Dark Star, but then I realized I haven't actually seen the whole movie. And Black Hole, that was a fun first time watch, but it was also fun how we were talking on air, off air a lot. We're like, oh, I don't remember this, or for better or worse. So I do love revisiting. We're not talking about like outdated or anything. It's just, I don't know, sometimes you're just in a different mindset when you're watching this movie. And I'm seeing a lot of other people getting impatient with older movies where it's like, well, here's the thing, like that's just how it was. Everything was 2.5 hours.
Well, these are both 90-minute movies, though, right?
Yeah.
What was your take on Dark Star, Stephen? You said, I think you used the word nihilistic.
Yeah, we have a new voice in the studio today.
Yeah.
Tom and JJ are here as always, but Mike decided to hunt down the one coworker who he knew, just to sum up this double feature.
Yes, I'm librarian mercenary. That's me.
Librarian mercenary for hire. Yeah.
So
it's a good one, yeah.
But yeah, I have to admit my gut reaction to Dark Star, having seen it only the one time last night, was, this is the Doobie Brothers in space. I mean,
yeah, the Doobie Brothers in space. I think I've heard everything now.
I always say, it's like, what if you had a bunch of guys that were so stoned you just told them, go in a spaceship, blow up.
Oh, but that's every Carpenter movie.
I know, but this is just like go out into space, blow up planets that are
into space.
Go to space, blow up these planets, and then you're going to be like 20 years away from Earth, but you're going to only the whole Einstein spaceship you got, and it's like it becomes like the Three Stooges meets Looney Tunes in space.
That's a good way to put it. So long story short, guys, without this. Well, yeah, without we'll start off in chronological order with Dark Star, and then stay tuned for talking about Disney's The Black Hole. But so, long story short, you guys have heard it all, but I'll just sum it up for first timers. Future Alien creator Dan O'Bannon, who also acts in the film, collaborated with hothead turned amazing sci-fi horror craftsman John Carpenter. They decided, let's take our student film and let's make it, a feature length appropriate, just add some extra scenes. And it is one of those movies. It's kind of always come up on popular cult movies lists because it's a campy comedy. It
is that.
is that.
Yeah.
There's really not much of a plot to speak of. Think 2001, but even more muddled and complex, for lack of better.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because that's one of the things that popped out to me.
Where's
I
Hal? Is
noticed,
he going to tell them, "Hey, knock it off, you guys, I'm spacing you out"?
I noticed a couple of Kubrick homages in there, and also even
Dan kind of
further
looks
back.
like Kubrick if you think about it. He's got that
I mean,
beard.
it had the same kind of weird energy as Doctor Strangelove, and you mentioned 2001. But I also noticed in the elevator scene, especially, I noticed there was a little bit of a nod to Harold Lloyd.
Oh,
Yeah.
just the way he's calling over it.
Yep, that whole thing is just he's in a problem that he created himself, and
no one else to blame but him. So
exactly.
To Stephen's point, kind of nihilistic, I guess, with Glee. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A danger to himself and others. Go ahead.
I think the one thing that gets me too is you have this thing which will be kind of brought into with Alien later down the road, where the crew, because supposedly he said, if I can't make them laugh with the little beach ball alien, if I can't make them laugh in the theater, I'll make them scream in the theater. That's why. And then you have the whole thing with the disembodied voice, telling the female voice going, bomb 20 ready to drop. And, and it's like, okay, now you get the theory, okay, that's where Mother came from. But there's like this thing where it's like these guys are in space, they're all grizzled. They don't look happy. They don't look like they look like they're just like, they're like grumpy, they're pissed off.
They're really pissed off. They want to punch something. But to the Kubrick aspect, the way the robot kind of the bomb does kind of have Dr. Strange but love vibes. It's like, yep, there he goes. He's killing himself.
With Hal, yeah.
Yeah, there's Hal, and then there's definitely Strange Love. So what was the George Lucas connection? How did he see Dan and say, I need you to design the holographic chess pieces in my new movie? It's called Star Wars. Did he see this at like a screener while they were all on pot one day, or
no? I don't think they.
He probably just reached out and somehow his name came up with a.
No, I don't think that really happened. If it did,
because he got pulled up, and I know he was he designed those stop motion creatures that you see.
Okay, was it Dan O'Bannon?
Yeah, that was Dan.
I didn't know he was doing that. I thought he was just a script.
It makes a little better sense now, though, right?
Yeah.
It is kind of a pothead dream. You're like,
3D chess. Hey, who knew?
All right. Because that one is kind of nihilistic. Is like this one creature eats the other, and Chewie's got his hands in the bag. He's like, I got this.
My favorite part of that movie is the guy who says his name is, we think his Pinback isn't Pinback. His name is William Frog, and he's just the real guy. Pinback basically just went nuts and incinerated himself in a rocket engine or something like that. And he's like, so like, you find like they're showing you Pinback's diaries, how he's just today was my birthday. Everybody forgot my birthday. Also, those sons of bitches one day when I'm gone, and he's just.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Yikes.
And the thing I love is like how it gets to be like towards the end there is this point where he's like we think Commander Powell's dead, but he's not. He's actually in a giant ice cube.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I've got so many memories. Yeah.
So much being frozen literally in space.
Yeah.
Okay, so here you go. So Dan O'Bannon did meet George Lucas while they were both at the USC School of Cinema and TV together, and he brought him on. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I like my version better, though. He just went to a screening and say, who made that? I gotta hire this guy. Smoke a doobie.
Yeah, remind me a little of THX 1138 too. How stark it was. And
Definitely, they must have
camera.
had the same mind. Yeah,
I put
camera.
down I put down it's like 2001 made with construction paper. The sets in it. I mean, Steven's background, it looks 100 times better than Dark Star. Of course, it was the 70s. You bought it. I mean, I imagine a big screen, you'd go with it. But yeah.
Well, I have to say the biggest special effect for their ship was the fact that it was so pristine and white every time you saw the outside of the ship, despite the fact that how many places on that ship were blown up? The habitat, their sleeping quarters. That's remarkably
Everything
smooth
is a
and
target.
clean.
And what was in the bottles? Remember? And did they have to mention they're out of toilet paper?
Bueller?
After 20 years on a ship, you got to put your still somewhere, right?
Yeah.
3 years.
Flag.
I think the thing that blows my mind is like you're watching it, you're like there's one part where like I think it's not Trill. Who's the other one? Not Pinback. The other guy, the other blonde haired guy.
Oh yeah, that
he's
guy.
laying with the sun. Like he's got the sun lamp on. No, Pinback's laying with the sun lamp, and the other guy's got like a space laser, and he's showing him how he's showing how like the space laser works, and it's like something out of a Warner Brothers cartoon. Like he's gonna disintegrate something. You cannot shoot in this house. Please don't. Dude, would you please stop shooting that here? I don't care. And the thing they have is they have the alien on the ship hiding in the storeroom.
Yeah, it's like
and
I'm
it's
waiting for you to find me.
It's just a beach ball with feet.
Yeah,
but it's just so funny to look. Where he's chasing this thing up and down and all around.
Someone signed off on it.
And he was afraid of it and taunting it at the same time.
Carpenter's like, no one cares. Let's just make it funny. Make it funny.
There's a little Marvin Martian in there too.
Kinda. I'm just waiting for a ray gun to come out. Yeah. Be decimated. Yeah.
Want to chase your mouse, boy? Want to chase your mouse?
Oh my god.
I can't remember the name of the treat we used to get at ball games and stuff when they were eating chicken dinner. It was those tubes with blue liquid.
Oh,
and it was so obvious. It was, what was that called? You remember those? They had like sugar water in plastic tubes.
Not sugar plants. Sugar.
I can't remember what it was called.
Sugar starch. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Diabetes.
It was imaginative.
Yeah, diabetes on a stick. There you go.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
The mortal enemy of Wilfred Brimley.
Oh, diabetes. Is that how he got on the thing? Is like Carpenter's like, I need a guy who's got diabetes.
Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know is that the part where they like zoom out of into hyperspace, they came up with that idea they would just take the shutter off the film and film, and they said that idea kind of came from that kind of got put upon with Star Wars later.
Oh,
so they decided,
Dan.
Yeah,
David Dan. So for those who want to see it, you can probably find it on YouTube still. It's on Tubi, as we were talking off air. It's always somewhere. Like it's not hard to track down. Now,
it's
look
on
at this.
Peacock, yeah.
You ever see this on TV? I can never recall this being on any other movie channel.
I saw it on TV a couple times. I saw it on WSBK.
Oh, so there you go. Antenna channels.
It was Sunday afternoon, and I was like flipping through the channels. I had to be about like 12, 13 years old. And I was just watching it, and I was like, is this Dark Star? And I was like, oh my God, this is funny, Yeah. And then it would appear on like Showtime or Cinemax, I think it's one point it came on Turner Classic Movies, like
I definitely think it's been on there, like on their Friday shuffle.
Before Jeffrey Zaslow decided to fuck it all up for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember the TV ads for it when it ran in the theaters or drive-ins. And at the very end, you hear a voice go, "Rated G," like they were disappointed.
Yeah.
Gee, because it can't possibly
Uh,
offend anyone.
Yeah,
The ball
Well,
is
if you
not
hear-
going to anyone freak out.
they're not lost in space, they're loose was the tagline. I remember that. That's all I remember about it. I do remember a little
All I
bit of the spaceship on the ad on TV, but
Yeah.
I was probably 15, It came out in 75.
I can-
Sorry,
I
And
can
are you
remember.
allowed to smoke in space, by the way?
I
Oh God.
mean, no
They're
one's
puffing on
gonna stop
stogie.
you if you want to.
I guess.
That's right.
But doesn't that mess with the equipment? The smoke? I don't know. We were told that when I
I
DJ,
mean,
don't smoke.
you
in the
can't
studio. I
exactly
didn't,
roll down a window.
but- no.
Jesus, they smoked in friggin' Alien, remember?
Oh, that's
They
right.
were
Okay.
smoking joints.
Oh, they're playing cards and digging around,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing I love at the beginning of Dark Star is the guys like in the computer. He's like, "Hi guys, you're doing a great job up there. Sorry to hear about the radiation leak,
Sorry about
but
that.
unfortunately, we can't give you any equipment because getting an equipment shuttle up there would take too long. Also, sorry about the death of Commander Powell."
Yeah.
There
You
you
know, it's
go.
like-
Sorry about
Another
the
news.
mess.
Yeah, it
There was-
definitely had vibes of the "oh, sucks to be you" report.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. You know?
Don't mind us. Yeah.
The beginning
Oh,
reminded me a
Lord.
little bit of the video transmission in The Crawling Hand. When they
Oh, yeah.
push the red. That's the first thing I thought of. How cheesy it looked and push the red. Remember?
Push
Yeah.
the red.
Yes, yeah, push the red.
Don't ever
Uh,
push the red button.
I have to say the biggest recommendation I could make for this movie is if you watch Dark Star and then you watch John Carpenter's Starman, you'll appreciate how far he's come in his craft in 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, would you rather watch, I don't know, the Chevy Chase movie or The Ward? No, you wouldn't. It was rhetorical.
I think the one thing that gets me the most is like you watch this, you realize it's his first movie.
Yeah.
Then the second movie he makes is a remake of Rio Bravo because he loved Howard Hawks,
Yep. Precinct 13.
which
Yep.
was Assault on Precinct 13. Then he
He
does
did
the
the
Elvis.
Thing too, right?
Mm-hmm.
He did the thing. He
Yeah.
did the Elvis movie with Kurt Russell in '79.
Yeah.
And that was
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
and then he. But the big one was Halloween.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then James Cameron saw Halloween and Star Wars and said, "That's the fever dreams I've had. How about I blend them both
Yeah.
and make the Trump
Elvis.
game?"
The Elvis was a TV movie, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is so funny because Russell also voices Elvis in Forrest Gump, but I always got an Elvis shtick kind of from him just by how he styled his
Oh,
hair.
I didn't know that. They
Yeah.
Well,
dubbed it. I didn't know that.
Well, him and Elvis were in a movie together. You know that, right?
Hmm.
I forgot
Elvis-
about that.
Elvis was filming It Happened at the World's Fair,
Okay.
and Elvis comes like is talking, and this little kid runs up and kicks him right in the shins, and it's friggin' Kurt Russell.
Yeah. He was on Gilligan's Island about the same time too.
We did talk
Yep.
about that.
Yeah.
It was like one of the notable guest spots.
Well, he was
Oh,
in
man.
Disney movies early in too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would
Who-
follow him if he was a
yeah.
spaceship commander. That'd be fine.
Who can forget the trilogy that he made? The computer wore tennis shoes. Now you see him. Now you don't. And the world's strongest man. Come on.
Or
Yeah.
don't forget the Barefoot Executive.
Oh yeah, the barefoot executive. Yeah.
Okay.
Wild.
Uh,
So,
Wild,
I-
wild, wild.
I wonder where became of Kurt Russell.
I mean, he's still working.
Still working.
He probably
uh,
didn't marry anybody he knows, doesn't have kids, or
Yeah.
he's probably just
Married some-
he's just waiting for his next walk on a C-level sitcom. Just
Oh,
as
God.
as a wacky uncle.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wants to do that, he can. I don't think he needs to.
I mean, come on. The guy made Captain Ron. Cut him some slack.
He was in a lot of. He was in the football movie with Robin Williams. He's in the
Best
Avengers.
of times.
He's in
That's the times.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Mhm.
Yep.
So
He's
he
coasted by just being charismatic. He's good.
yeah.
Oh, come on. He does Escape from New York. He
Yeah.
does
Tequila
with Carpenter.
Sunrise. Yeah.
Tequila. He does Escape from New York. He does Big Trouble in Little China, two of the best movies he did with Carpenter. He does Death Proof. He does Swing Shift with Goldie Hawn where they met. He does what was the other one that he did?
What's the one where he's on the lamb from what was that called? There's a truck involved.
Oh, Breakdown.
Yeah,
Breakdown.
I think I've seen almost all of his movies, most of them.
And who could forget the Oscar snub that was his acting in Used Cars?
Oh God, yes. Oh
Comedies
God.
always get the short shrift.
Zemeckis. Yeah.
Just another example of the man keeping Kurt Russell down.
But yeah, Dark Star is nihilistic, but it's like as Steven pointed out, it's nihilistic, but it's like the more you watch it, the more you start getting the humor of it. The bomb's about to go off, and the two guys are fighting in the ship, and you have that picture of like George C. Scott saying, "Gentlemen, there's no fighting in the war room."
Yeah. And they're arguing. What's he even trying to? They're arguing. What's? I don't understand what the bomb's saying. And yeah,
the bomb begins to have awareness of itself, and Commander Doolittle has to go out and tell him, "No, you don't have self." And like the bomb he teaches the bomb actually teaches it Cartesian rationalism. But I think, therefore I am.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. And he's like, no, you don't think, you're a bomb. Like he's trying to tell the bomb, you're not supposed to be, you are not supposed to, you're just a bomb. You don't have anything. You don't have any memories or anything. Oh yes, I do. No, you don't. Those are just sensory, and it's just like this argument between a guy and an object that can kill people.
Yeah. I guess who wins the battle.
Yeah.
I gotta think Mystery Science Theater season 8 had to be influenced because remember Mike's blowing up planets every 4th episode?
Oh yeah.
I don't think they saw Dark Star,
He probably
did. I will say
at least he went to trial for it,
Yeah, to me, Dark Star is like Friedrich Nietzsche doing sketch comedy.
Yes.
Friedrich Nietzsche. He is
German philosopher.
Oh. Sorry.
Immanuel Kant was a real person. He was very, very stable.
Instead of stranded in space and watching bad movies, they are the bad movie. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
I'll confess that when the computer and the bomb started arguing, I kept getting flashbacks to Airplane, and I expected it to be that I'm talking about the White Zone. We don't care about the White Zone.
The White Zone, Carol.
Yeah, definitely.
You're just mad because I wanted the abortion.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But and I have to admit I was not surprised. Well, I don't want to throw too many spoilers out, but the captain's way out, that was nicely telegraphed, I suppose.
Yeah.
With his surfer history.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, he's like, the meteors, they're taking, and I was like, wait a minute, that's 2001 right there.
Yep. Like, it's full of stars.
I love the My Diary 8-track tape too. That was a nice touch. Very 70s.
Yep.
And then target practice going on,
It's just a movie you just watch and you're just like, these guys are left with nuclear weapons in space, flying a ship that can go faster than anything in the speed, faster than light itself, and they're just complete and utter schmucks.
Well, it was like brothers picking on each other. I mean,
Yeah.
two brothers. It's like you're not supposed to do that. Put that down. It was like sibling rivalry.
Honestly, 50 years after the fact, I could almost see Carpenter wanting to do a remake of it and have the frozen captain be Kurt Russell just for fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
But have Pinback be Wyatt Russell, his son.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great to do. That would be great to do on that. Just as like just as like a subtle little, ha ha ha, look who we have in here,
Oh.
Wild. Oh man. So yeah, just go into it. Don't expect much. Don't to compare it to anything else, really don't do that. Just go in, just like prepare for surprises. It's
Just repeat yourself. It's just a show. I should really just
really
relax.
just relax. It's not gonna offend anybody.
I say just bring a joint or a bong.
That makes a bomb.
Bring a joint or a bong, and which I did when I was in college when I'd watch it. Just light up a doobie, watch it, and just prepare to laugh your ass off.
I gotta admit though, as cheesy as the production values were, by the end, you buy the fact that they're in space.
Yeah.
In space.
Yeah. So.
And the thing I'm going to say this is like O'Bannon kind of carried it over with Alien because remember, like they're all cramped. They're all, they're kind of been out there for a while. He brought that theory of like, a crew being out in space for a long time, doing work like a construction crew, into Alien. So he kind of brought that mentality into Alien,
He really did.
I like that scene. Didn't you say that a year ago? Remember that whole dialogue?
Yes.
That was funny. It was a nice touch. Because they've been up there a while. Yeah. But then they wasn't it 20 years had gone by, but it was 3 because they were in space.
Yeah.
They aged 3 years. Okay.
Yeah, they only aged 3 years, but it was 20 years.
Yeah.
And the guy says you're about 18 parsecs away from us now. And these durations of these messages are getting a little too long. Like, how fucking long do you want them to be? 5 minutes,
It's as long as you want it to be.
Yeah. And I literally says we can't get a shuttle team. There have been budget cuts in Congress, and we can't do anything about that. But I literally says, but keep up the good work, guys.
Incompetence 101.
Yeah.
Okay, this came out in 75, so definite Watergate.
74,
yeah.
Oh, okay. But there's definitely Watergate. Expletive deleted. They kept putting deleted in that one scene.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was reference to the Watergate book.
Yeah, I would also go and say that I could sense a touch of the Andromeda strain in there as well.
Robert Wise took note and said, "I know what I want. I'm gonna go."
I'd even throw in Catch-22.
Yeah.
Just the absurdity of the whole, some of the things that happened. It's like only a government or some kind of bureaucratic snafu could create the situation that these guys were in.
Mm-hmm.
Is it implied that the world's blown up already by the time they're out there, or
kinda,
or not? Or are they in contact with?
We should really just relax.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Besides, the bigger bomb was in Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Oh.
That definitely influenced season 8 of Mystery Science.
That is absolutely yes.
The first 3 episodes, yeah. And then Bobo winds up the entire run, yeah.
There's probably a bigger bomb on either version of the Outer Limits. I don't know.
Come to think, have there been that many, sci-fi things like this that were pretty much just schlubs in space? Sad. Like I'm
really.
half remembering.
Around the same time as Silent Running, kind of, but still, like they were kind of
Jerry Lewis in space movie. Yeah,
because I'm half remembering that Richard Benjamin. There was like a sitcom that He was like a
Quark.
trash collector in space.
Yeah, yep. With Tim Thomerson.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I gotta think that I wonder if that was influenced by I'm sure it was by Dark Star.
Maybe.
I think so, because it came it came after Dark Star. So, you have a bunch of like real, like with Dark Star, it's like, with Quark you had like, the guy Ficus, who was a plant, but he was a person. You had these two twins. You had a Tim Thomerson as Gene, because he could be like a real masculine character, then he could flip and be a real feminine character. I mean, that's the thing. And Richard Benjamin was trying to be like this, like really upstanding commander and everything like that, but he really just can't control any situation that he's in.
Okay. And Red Dwarf is all after this too, right?
Yep. Red Dwarf is right
it's in
after
the
that.
90s. Yeah. Oh man,
That's weird. I just saw a picture of Rimmer and what's his face, the guy who was the lead in that show.
Lister.
Yeah, Lister. I saw Lister looks the same. Rimmer looks like he should be like teaching like college at the BBC. like he's teaching, because I was like, holy shit, that's fuck. Okay, Lister looks the same, but Rimmer, this is the guy who did the British Empire, and I'm like, he lost. Where's his hair? His hair's. I was like, no, don't worry about it.
That's what you get for going to Crichton's hairdresser.
Oof.
Wild. Oh man.
Well,
I feel like we have sailed the typhoon. We have.
What more can you say?
It pretty much is what it is on paper, guys. Check it out. So, cut to commercial break, and we're going on to the one, the only Black Hole by Disney.
Oh, I can remember. If anybody remembers this coming out,
It's
it
kind
was
of
hyped.
it's kind of foreshadowing future Disney flops that gain a cult audience, kind of like Treasure Planet and John Carter, kind of. But
it's
feel
not
like
a flop.
Oh, it made money.
It wasn't a flop.
Okay.
It was made for 20 million. It brought back 35 million.
That's good. All right.
So, but you have to think too, when it was released, it was up against another movie that was coming out, Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yeah. So the Hollywood Reporter article on this from a few years back was pretty cool, because many people have now debated whether this is a Star Wars clone. And it's like, well, that's just it. On paper, it was just supposed to be 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in Space. And it went through like 3 different drafts. And Barry Nelson, who's worked on everything, including Washington Behind Closed Doors and everything, which is actually amusingly that's how he got Maximilian Schell to sign on. Maximilian Schell, I said, like, I just saw that miniseries, and Barry's like, I fucking directed it.
Oh, Gary Nelson, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just so funny how
Gary Nelson's in a really great movie called Soldier Blue. You guys have to see it.
I think I've
it's
seen
a very good movie. Oh, it's fucking amazing.
Yeah. Candice Bergen,
Candice Bergen and Peter Strauss.
Interesting thing about this movie, it's the first Disney PG rated movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the Tony Perkins
they
death
re-released. There's my cat. They re-released.
Damn it, cat. Yeah.
They re-released Treasure Island from earlier, from the 40s or 50s, and
oh really?
They rated that PG.
Oh,
which it earned it. There wasn't ratings when that was out originally. So.
No.
I remember I had the soundtrack album in 3rd grade when they put dialogue from the movie, and I brought it to school, and the teacher wouldn't allow me to play it because it was too violent for 3rd graders. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Anyway,
people get all finicky about swordplay, and it's like, you're gonna show this to a kid eventually. I get it.
Yeah.
It's school.
There is some violence in Black Hole, definitely.
Yeah, right. It's mainly
it's implied more than anything, but
it's mainly Perkins' death is intense. Yeah. You're getting the feeling that he's been, impelled by the robot.
Yeah.
But like the thing was that with this was it was in production since like 1973
Yeah.
because it was supposed to be called Space Station One. It was going to be
Yep.
like something like the Poseidon Adventure or the Towering Inferno. They wanted to do like a disaster movie in space,
Hmm.
and as time went on, it got to be they went from like that to okay, there's a crew out in space. They find this derelict spaceship, but you know, there's they go in and they. I mean, the way it was implied was okay. I didn't get it at first when I was a kid, but as I get older, I begin to realize, oh, it's supposed to be like, the spooky old house at the end of the block and who's in there,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
That makes
And
sense. The Disney execs also wanted to kind of counter Irwin Allen type disaster movies. I saw in some notes, but it is interesting how I feel like the cast really got along. And giving all these exploits, Robert Forster was able to be interviewed before his death, and he learned a lot from Ernest Borgnine. And ironically, Ernest Borgnine had the same mentality. He wanted to learn from everybody else on set, and it was a very healthy friendship. They had a "Do Not Enter" sign, so everything filmed on set was a mystery. There wasn't any leaks.
yeah,
But I loved how Borgnine, to keep himself busy, would actually just start grabbing a broom and dusting stuff. People were staying busy, and I thought Yvette Mimiox, I think is how I pronounce her surname.
Mimeo.
Yeah.
Mimio. As I think she did pretty good in the role, and that's the only issue I have is behind the scenes they casted another actress, made her cut her hair and
Jennifer
everything.
O'Neill.
Yeah,
Jennifer O'Neill was supposed to be Kate McRae.
they literally could have done a casting and just said, "Hey, you're not right," instead of waste time on set filming and then recast.
What is
story-
what is Jennifer O'Neill famous for?
Summer of
Oh.
42.
Summer 42. Okay, I
Yeah,
thought so.
she was there. She was going to get her hairstyle by her personal hairstylist Vidal Sassoon. And what
Mhm.
happened was that she was drinking, and they just said, okay, look, this isn't going to work. You got to go home. She drove home and got into a car crash.
Yeah,
And the next
Ooh.
day they casted Yvette Mimeo to be Kate McRae. And I think that was a
Mhm.
great piece of casting. And she said, yeah, I'll cut my hair. I'll do that. That's no
but it
problem.
just made me wish that they could have done that off the offset. Yeah,
You know,
So I blame that.
How serious was the car accident? I should ask.
I
was pretty
think
bad.
I think she broke some stuff and cut some stuff on her face and stuff. But all I remember is like the casting was good. I like the cast is good in
Yeah,
that movie.
what's funny is Joseph Bottoms was actually trying to follow Robert Forster's lead, and he's playing the
Yeah.
captain, and he's just gotten off all these other Western ensembles, and he's trying to follow everyone else's deal. So I think that's cool how everyone's clinging on to each other and studying each other in a good way. And now, riddle me this: have you guys ever gotten Roddy McDowall mixed up with Anthony Perkins?
No,
Okay, I always thought they had a similar kind of hairstyle and everything. But
Yeah.
even though
They
Roddy's
kinda
not,
do.
he's not
I mean,
physically in this, but I just like how they're
They
both
were-
part of the cast.
they were good friends outside of the movie because I
I
can
just love it.
remember reading that when Anthony Perkins was dying, Roddy McDowall would visit him.
Oh, nice. Love
Um,
that.
but I can remember like my going to see the movie and just being amazed by this wasn't like Star Wars, and
Yeah.
the strange thing is that when
Other
they were
than
going
the
in
cute little robot, that's really as Star
Yeah.
Wars as it gets. The most part, it's just
there
a
was that
casual.
influence of that, sure.
But that's just a producer.
You realize who does the other
yeah.
robot voice?
Slim Pickens.
Yeah, that was a nice
Yes, old
Wow.
Bob.
Yeah,
But the thing is, if you watch this thing with Harlan Ellenshaw, who was actually the son of Peter Ellenshaw, who did all the maths and stuff for the black hole, he was well respected. A lot of those guys were very well respected. They were all in-house guys.
That's good.
And what happened was that they said, okay, we're going to make the robots like, instead of having them on the ground like, R2D2, they were never meant to be like R2D2.
Right.
R2D2, these robots hover,
Mhm.
and they go up and they were on armatures and strings and all that stuff. And the thing was that when you watch the movie, the robots aren't supposed to be. They're part of the crew. They're part of the family.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but when you watch the movie itself, it's supposed to be like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Maximilian Schell.
Yeah.
What was that?
Or Moby Dick is similar.
Moby Dick, yeah. Because Maximilian Schell, and you have 2 Oscar winners in there. Maximilian Schell for Judgment at Nuremberg and Ernie Borgnine for Marty. The thing I've said about that is that you have 2 guys. Maximilian Schell, his role as Hans Reinhardt is like he's this dualistic character. When you see him, he comes out and says, he goes, he does this flair. He says, Dr. Hans Reinhardt, he always had a flair for theatrical. And he's this charming character when you first meet him. And then as the movie goes on, you start to realize he's not that charming.
He's a scumbag.
You find out certain things that happen,
He's like a cult leader, his character.
He's a cult leader, but he's got that robot with him,
And Ernest Borgnine being a selfish, save his own hide kind of guy.
Yeah, I'd almost throw back not just cult leader, but I was also thinking maybe closer to Count Dracula from.
He does look like a Transylvanian kind of count. Yeah.
Yeah, and that he has that kind of that vibe to him that he seems charming enough and he's nice enough, but there's something a little sinister behind it.
Yeah.
That's the vibe.
I tried to see if they named the hero ship the Palomino after any actual real life Navy ship, but I couldn't find anything on that.
The great thing about the Cygnus is it's named after a constellation that I think the first black hole was founded in.
Bad guy ship, Cygnus. Yeah.
Yeah, the Cygnus. Right. And the thing with that is, if you watch it, it's all these tropes with the characters. You've got Robert Forster's character, Captain Dan Holland. He's the cocky, he's the captain of the ship. He's the leader. You got Joseph Bottoms, who's the young gunslinger, tagging along with him. Mm-hmm. You've got Ernie Borgnine, who's basically the guy who talks a lot of talk, but doesn't back it up. You've got Anthony Perkins' character, who's basically hypnotized. He's this guy who's very smart, but when he meets Reinhardt, he's like, oh, I'm fascinated by it. And you have that Mimi's character who's like, she's very like, she's almost like, I know the truth. I'm trying to tell you the truth, and you don't want to listen to it. We have to get out of here. We have to go right away.
Yeah.
And the thing
of
is,
course, Borgnine's Booth character, is pretty unhelpful.
Oh yeah,
that's a scumbag.
I think the one thing I love is like the character. The thing I've loved about that is when you watch the movie, you're kind of like, it's not that it draws you in. It's like okay, it's
very easygoing.
It's very easygoing, and
the fact that we've been talking more about the villain as opposed to his ship that he's crafted, I think that's just it. Like, he's more interesting. Like, he is and again, there's just that sinister, but you can kind of see why he's drawn into this versus other Disney movies that they've done since that make you go, okay, but now I'm just seeing all the movies you've stolen from versus you guys want to just have your own kind of weird concept. This was a 26-week shoot, apparently.
Yeah.
And they had 80s on set showing the different shots, so they knew how to go frame by frame instead of let's make it up on the spot. So I think that is a testament to any movie, because I don't know if anyone's ever been on an independent film set. One technique that I recommend is shot scripts. Like, take the script and put on the kind of shots you want in the different scenes. That's a good time saver, especially if you're not capable of drawing a storyboard. It's just have a plan. save yourself time instead of just having endless deleted footage that you don't want to use and everyone's mad at you because they put do it.
I don't remember any deleted scenes being shown from that movie, except there was one where they were going across a chasm, and then I think
most of it got thrown out with the first few drafts that you mentioned earlier, because a lot of that involved a lot of planet saving civilians, and director Nelson was like, "This is cheesy, this is melodramatic, do not want to make that kind of movie." And there were 150 different matte paintings.
That's the most that were used at that time, because
the most for any Disney movie back then.
I think Star Wars had about 10 or 15. Empire had about 20. And if there's a Peter Ellen, Harlan Ellenshaw actually talks about it.
Yeah, his son Harrison was helping out.
Harlan Ellenshaw, Peter was the father, Harlan was the son, and the two of them working together. They did a phenomenal job. The thing that gets me the most is the way they create, the way this whole environment was created. How the Cygnus is this giant vast ship that hasn't been seen for 20 years. And it's like all of a sudden you go in there and they're like, "Oh, these are my androids. I've created them." I literally says, "They're a bit medieval, but I'm a bit of a romantic." And you don't know what or how they are. And then all of a sudden the clues start to be revealing when Booth goes into the environment, the garden center, and the one walks out with the limp. And then the other one is there's a robot funeral. Dan's taking one of those air cars back to the Palomino, and he like walks in and he sees a robot funeral, and then he goes in and he sees all the crew members' quarters kept in pristine condition, and he's wondering why is this stuff still here? Why is this stuff still here? And then he watches the funeral. The robot getting shot out, the humanoid getting shot out into space. And he's going, "What the hell's going on?" Turns around, and Maximilian says, and he goes, "Must have taken a wrong turn." And it's like you're just thinking, something doesn't seem right here.
If it's too good to be true, then it is.
And that's the thing.
Well, the strangest thing that hit me when I was watching it was within the first 10 minutes we get the mission that the Cygnus was on.
The mission log.
But what was the Palomino supposed to be doing?
Just exploration.
I don't know if they ever said.
It's kind of implied it's just exploration, but it's not.
The Cygnus was supposed to be an exploratory ship, and Hans Reinhardt basically said to the Space Appropriations Committee, "Give me the money, give me the time. This will be a ship that will go out and find new life." And what happened was they went out and they did not find, they lost contact. So then what happened is that supposedly the backstory is that they use smaller ships now, like the Palomino, to go out and find, because of the fiasco with the Cygnus. So basically, you guys think it's like, imagine you have something like the USS Enterprise going out there to find new life and new civilizations.
A giant cruise liner that happens to have a lot of deadly shit on board. It's a cargo ship.
And then it goes to like something like a little dinky ass rocket ship goes out, and it's still you're still trying to find it. And
I think of the villain as a pirate, kind of to Tom's point, but he's a fancy pirate. He's happy of what he is. He disguises it well. Think of a career criminal who's become legit, but he can't escape his not so legit lifestyle.
Yeah.
And he's not doing it for shits and giggles. Like, he believes in his mission, and that's why it takes them so long to say, "Hey, stop what you're doing," because they're they've never seen any life form like it. So I think that's why, even though it's an older movie, I think that's why we, the audience, are patient with the findings, because they do a good job of making it look very beautiful. What we're looking at it with them, as opposed to seeing it from afar and looking at our watch saying, "When's the movie going to get done?"
There's some. Don't think about it too hard in this movie. If she has ESP, okay, you can. Does ESP work on robots?
Yeah, it's tuned. The
Yeah.
robot is tuned.
And on top of that, couldn't you figure out that some of those robots were humans?
No, they couldn't tell they were human.
Oh,
Why?
the Sixth Sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but with
No,
ESP, you could. And
No,
also,
because
when they're in the garden late in the movie, am I getting this wrong? Or don't they get exposed to space and they just get frosted hair? They don't immediately get because they're,
there's a vacuum in space. Neil deGrasse Tyson likes to shit on this movie, and I love.
I know. I just heard that today on Gilbert.
I know, and I was like, okay,
it's one of the 10 worst movies he's ever seen. Yeah,
I know, and even I kind of agree with him on some things where I'm going, oh yeah, I get it, ha ha ha, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like I've sat there and I've been like, they're in the vacuum of space. They should be dead by now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
There's some things I'm just kind of like shaking my head, like the physics don't work. But then I'm like thinking to myself, it's just a fucking movie. Come on.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the free.
Relax, I know.
Well, you have to eventually. You know, it's like we only hate
That's
it
why
when
it's a movie. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to everyone's points, I mean, including deGrasse, I mean, it's just we want to see the filmmaker try for the most part before they just throw it out. Like, it's kind of that way with the first Riddick movie, Pitch Black. There's free suns, completely impossible, but the movie does a good job of drawing you in, and it's introduced later, so you've already come to terms with the other reality that it's already set up. So it's just as long as the filmmaker takes their time instead of just thrusting it on you, and you're just like,
oh yeah,
what?
It's well made. It's well made. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing the thing that got me when I was growing up, my father was sitting next to me, was we were all watching. It was me, my mom, my dad, my grandma. We're all watching the movie.
Oh, nice.
And we were in the Bellevue Theater. We're watching this big 70 millimeter, full sound and everything. The ending when they go through the black hole, where you see you see Reinhardt and Maximilian merge with each other, and then they're like in hell.
Yeah.
And you see like the humanoids being escorted through hell, and there's a lake of fire and all this shit. And then all of a sudden you see
it really is creepy the way they do those flames.
This angelic figure comes up and takes them out, and they come through the black hole. Now, a lot of people think that's really what happens. What a lot of people think, and if you read this on some of these boards, is that it's Kate's dream. It's her holding them together, but it's her dream of what happens to Reinhardt and Maximilian. The Cygnus actually is just the black hole can be, the gateway to hell, heaven or hell. And what got me was in the beginning, you see the thing, and you hear Harry Booth go, "My God!" right out of Dante's Inferno. He says,
"Yeah."
Every time I see one of those things, I expect some guy in red with a tail and a pitchfork, staring out of it, and you're like,
"Yeah."
A little Fantasia too.
Yeah, a little Fantasia in that, And I'm like sitting there, and like my father goes, we're walking out of the theater, and he's like, "I love the movie. What the hell's with the ending?" We're just walking out of the movie. He's like, "What the hell is with the ending?" And I'm sitting there going, "Oh, that was such a great movie." And then I'm watching as time goes along. I'm like, "Yeah, what is it with this ending?" In the book. I'm sorry.
There's a book.
There's a book.
Novelization.
I just got a quick point. When I saw the final shot, it looks like there's like an eclipse there at the end that they see, like sunlight behind the moon or something.
Yeah.
You know what I thought of? An early Simpsons when Crabapple showing the class a cheesy 50s documentary educational called The Moon of Earth. And that's
oh God.
Okay, they're going back to Earth and they're on the other side of the moon. That's exactly it.
On the moon.
Oh, the moon. Jeez. Welcome to the moon of Earth. Yeah. So anyway,
that's what he says. You'll weigh one third of what you weigh on Earth. No pie for you, fatty.
I think it actually says in the cartoon copyright 1957 or something too.
Oh,
jeez.
You guys
Well,
want to know something really? Oh, go ahead.
They also did a comic book series.
Yeah.
I got 3 issues by going to a friend's birthday party, which was sort of my gateway into it. And the first 2 issues dealt with the movie itself, and I think they might have changed the ending.
Oh,
for the
sweet. So
purposes
then
of
they
it.
kind of expanded a bit. They had some other.
Yeah, they
one-offs?
did. They went the
I'm gonna
3rd issue. They went
hit
and
right-
actually went. They were actually survived the black and going through the black hole and started exploring a new universe. And
Let's look
I can't
this
remember
up.
everything that happened, but it was.
They find an opposite version of the Cygnus.
Oh wow!
And
Here's another Star Trek
yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
Produced by
And-
Gold Keys Comics.
Yep.
Yes.
And Jack Kirby did the
Jack freaking Kirby. Wow.
Jack the King Kirby did
But
the
I'm seeing it
illustrations.
already. The 4th one has
But-
them on a planet with dinosaurs. That is
Yeah.
amazing. That
But they have it where the Maximilian can talk to Reinhardt like he's got a computer voice, and he talks to Reinhardt. Bob doesn't remember them. It's like a mirror. They go to a mirror image of what their universe was. So all of a sudden they escape in this rinky dinks this UFO spaceship, and they call it the USS Palomino. And I just remember that. I remember, Reinhardt had like a fleet of like spaceships or something like that. Tom, you're right. No, there was a comic book.
But
And they
like you
didn't-
say, yeah, they expanded it after
Yeah.
the inevitable alternate takes that happen with any screenplay, and those are always fun. It's like you accept which version of the movie is in your head now.
We'll return after these messages.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast. That's Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man podcast.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast wrecks and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
You guys notice one more thing with Tony Perkins? He pulled a Janet Leigh by disappearing. That was a big thing in
Revenge for
Psycho.
Janet
The
Leigh,
star
yeah.
of the movie gets killed off halfway through.
This is like the most
Yeah.
normal role for him. The rest of the time, he's always a suspect, or handsome stranger. So yeah,
He's just kind of erotic in this,
I think it should get more attention for him, really, because he's a good actor, and he was, even though he was made a typecast, he was really good in half those typecasts. But
He, by the 70s, he's making like The Last of Sheila and Pretty Poison and what was the one? Psycho 2,
Wasn't that bad, I guess.
his favorite was like the 4th one, which he directed, which everyone else hated. So it's just like,
Oh yeah. I can't
uh,
say anything bad about Psycho 4. I like Psycho 4.
I haven't seen it, but I'll watch it.
Oh,
I'll take your word
it's
for it.
good.
I've seen part 3, and I knew
I
pals
didn't
who were
realize there
obsessed
was a
with part 3.
I knew about 2 because Riff Tracks did it.
There was a
It
third
was-
one.
Part 2 was decent, but part 3, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Jeff Fahey, why are you throwing a lampshade in front of your privates? That's weird.
The one thing I love about reading about this was that Disney wanted to use Lucas's
ILM.
ILM,
And
and
they
he
didn't have
said,
that,
"No,
yeah.
you can't do that because I'm not leasing my camera, my guys out
This is
for
before they
anything."
needed the money. Yeah.
And this is
Chico needed
before
the money. Yeah.
Chico needed the money. Georgia Lucas needed the money.
I told
So what
you,
happened?
I still can't get over driving back home from work by Reed's Lake and hearing Gilbert's podcast doing that. And just to my left, Groucho made his professional debut at Reed's Lake.
I know.
What?
Very young Groucho over there in the past, and I'm hearing old Groucho. That was just surreal. I'm lucky I made it home without hitting something. It was crazy.
Well,
you find out later that Disney had to create their own camera system for the black hole. So what they did was this thing called ACES, which was
sweet.
that's why the camera work is so good in that. If you watch it, the camera isn't like, there's the ship. They actually they follow the ship around, they go up, down, around, over it, it's amazing. It was kind of like a
Really surreal.
It was a really good way. The camera work is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
David, you had something. Just now I was talking about Groucho or something. I thought you were going to say something.
Would you like to say something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I put him on the spot. Sorry. Picking on the new guy. Sorry.
Say something now.
Say something now.
Meanwhile, back at the main competition.
I'll just say this: without this movie, you don't get The Expanse.
No.
It's a good show, but like it just the whole sense of traveling and how they make just I miss this. I mean, I like the villains on that show and both this because they're mad scientists who's just very, again, just they're good at just good casting. There wasn't any hammy acting. It was just I got to see this through to the end, even if it kills me, even if it's a giant robot ship that kills everybody. Just the whole idea. Just I got to mess with this, and it's beautiful. And again, it distracts the heroes. It distracts us, the audience, because it is eye-catching. So, and then before we realize, you got to shut this down. It's gonna bring harm.
The thing I love about that is, too, when the John Barry score carries that movie through and through. You could have had a guy go in there and make like some crappy synthesizer music or something like that. Now that was one of the last movies to have an overture played before the movie started, because I remember Star Trek had the same thing too.
Yeah.
So that was one of the last movies that had an overture played before it. And not only that, that kind of that movie led to that movie led to Disney founding Touchstone Pictures.
Yes, good point, because they did this for Buena Vista.
If you watch the movie, it says Buena Vista. It does not say Walt Disney Studios.
Mm-hmm. It's unfortunately still a common thing with them. Like even with the Fox Searchlight purchase, they still are unsure how they want to market some stuff, and it's just like, come on, Disney, you got money. If you want people to see your stuff, don't do. We already mentioned the crappy HBO exec who does the whole I want everything to be a tax write-off. It's like, you're not going to get your money back. Put it out there, make your money back in theaters or from TV airings. It will happen. But if you don't advertise it at all, then you deserve to lose money and piss people off.
And I want to say that the black hole was. I was going to say the black hole was a precursor, definitely, to Tron, and it was.
Oh, that's right.
Many have made that illusion. Now that one definitely didn't do as well money wise, but that's a similar kind of deal where people would beg for years. When's it coming to DVD? When's it on TV next? That one definitely owes a little more to Star Wars, but it's still good in its own right. Just the whole super villain with unstoppable armies and the hero, realizing he's the chosen one.
To me, it showed that Disney was testing the waters of something, making it more, not necessarily still making it somewhat kid friendly, but making it more adult oriented as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that if Black Hole and Tron had done better in the box office, I honestly think Disney would have gone in a completely different direction than they did in the 80s and 90s. They
Totally.
Yeah,
Well, you
there
got to
was
think.
that period there for a while. Yeah.
But you got to think that they were making stuff like the Kurt Russell movies, Hot Lead
Yep.
and Cold Feet. The world's greatest athlete. What was
Yeah.
the one? What was the one they did? The Apple Dumpling Gang. The Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again. Gus, the field goal kicking mule.
I
Herbie,
remember
all the Herbie movies.
Escape to Witch Mountain. I remember that one with the flying.
Escape to Witch
Yeah.
Mountain and what was it? Escape to Witch Mountain and
Return to Witch Mountain, wasn't it?
Return to Witch
Yeah,
Mountain.
the Witch Mountain movies. Yep.
Those were a little bit more. I don't want to say adultish, but they were more kind of like they were
They
kind
didn't
of
have the
when the black
PG-13 rating yet.
yeah
So.
They're
when
more.
the black
I
hole
think they're
came
more.
out.
Yeah, I think they're more tweeny type movies, not necessarily adult. They were
Yeah.
moving in that direction, but it was still you still had that core audience that they were trying to catch on with the kids that were growing up, and they weren't really interested in the cartoons anymore, like the Rescuer and everything like
Yeah.
that. They were trying to cash in on that side of the equation, and even so, they had. I'd say they were going in that direction, and Black Hole and Tron were sort of taking those next steps. And like I said, if those two movies had taken off, or they had caught the cultural zeitgeist that the Witch Mountain movies did, then who knows? They may be a vastly different company these days. But
Well,
as it turns out,
that's the funny thing with the Black Hole, because if you go to Disney, they have all the stuff there from all the movies, and like you just ask, "Hey, do you have anything from the Black Hole?" Everybody kind of looks and goes, "What?"
Unfortunately, so
what's
I
the
think a
Black
lot of
Hole,
people
you
have
know?
seen it, but there's still. I guarantee you, there's probably still movies on Disney Plus you can't find. There's a bunch, but there's still probably going to be a few that are taken down.
Here's something funny. I can remember going to Disneyland as a kid in 1980, 1979,
yes.
going to Disneyland, and Main Street USA, they were hyping the Black Hole. So what happened was that on the couple of the stores had the guys from Disney, whoever did the Disney, were actually made the windows look like the USS Cygnus.
Oh,
The
damn.
inside, the Black Hole, the Palomino.
Has
There
that
are pictures
survived
of it.
any version of Disneyland?
I don't. I think most of the maquettes are gone. But I tried looking for pictures, and there's like 3 or 4 I've seen on the internet. And I said, yes, I remember that. I remember that, because I was going like, holy bro, this is amazing. These were amazing. I thought they were toys. No, this was the guys at the Disney department going, okay, let's really give this movie the good push that it needs. And if I can remember correctly, the toys came out that Christmas.
Yes.
And they were that Mego had signed on.
Yeah.
They got the rights to Buck Rogers, and they got the rights to the Black Hole. And the Black Hole figures, they weren't that good. They made the Palomino. You can only fit like one figure in the Palomino. Well, they should have had a play set of the Palomino. And Mego, the funny thing is, Mego had both Star Trek, the motion picture, and the Black Hole. Yeah, so that was kind of like, you're kind of sitting there going, you got 2 licenses for 2 movies. Which one's going to do better than the other one? They thought they could make more money doing that, having the 2.
That's a shame. So if they were to make a comic book like continuation, how do you envision it would be like? Because that's probably the best compromise now is people can do crossovers and other stuff instead of have to dispute a movie being made.
I would say they're in the probe ship. They find the other version of the Cygnus, and the Palomino is intact. And the thing is that they're seeing themselves in the Palomino. They know that Harry Booth and Alex Durant are still alive. They've got to escape with them. They know what they have to do, and they they let Reinhardt go through the black hole, but he takes them with him, and then when they come out, it's like they're back in their time. It's like it's kind of like they jump forward and back into time. So they have to go back. They have to circumvent everything to make time what it was. It's kind of like a time travel thing.
Yeah.
And what happens is that they have to now go and they realize they have to go back in time and stop Reinhardt from killing Frank McRae, from from stopping all this stuff. So it's going to be like I would do that, but then there's
I would
another
like to
part of me that
introduce
says
Earth, like what happens when they get back. If it's not the same Earth we know, have it be. It would be a lot of brainstorming. How can we show like a fictional kind of society without it being the billionth Starfleet knockoff?
Well, I would say this: if they were to do it, they go back to Earth and they find they come back and they're like, okay, we found the Cygnus, it was destroyed.
Allegedly.
What do we do next?
Yeah.
allegedly destroyed.
Until it comes back for the sequel.
Yeah. Well, what's going to happen is that there's going to be another guy who comes along and says, I'm going to try to go through the black hole again, but it's like they have to do something where it's like, what if Reinhardt comes back and takes over the Earth? Wouldn't that be creepy?
That would be a cool twist. And it wouldn't feel formulaic. Like if you just keep leaning into that grimness while it's also fun, unusual adventure, I think that's how you'll avoid it being a, Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon. I'm coming back next time.
I would love to see a prequel about how this all happened. About how
I'd be cool with that. If you're gonna make it be a movie, make sure you're not just please make it mostly be unknowns or semi-known character actors, so we're not distracted by who's playing what.
I'd love to see if they had done it again.
Even a miniseries.
There were talks about
want to do that.
They might be doing a miniseries from what I hear.
Oh
wow!
But I would love the miniseries to be about how this all happened beforehand. How
it would actually be meaningful, and it could stand on its own 2 feet. Like it could just be a cool sci-fi thriller. Yeah.
Show the Cygnus being built. Show Frank McRae and Hans Reinhardt at odds with certain things.
I would trust anyone to mess with this. This would be very hard to goof up. It wouldn't be like the billionth Star Wars or Alien, spinoff.
Show Kate McRae and Alex Durant being two kids.
How
Harry
they
Booth.
balance family and becoming space crew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even show them how they design their ship. That would be cool too.
Yeah. I would love for them to have a scene where Hans Reinhardt is looking at this thing saying Project STAR.
Show when he becomes unstable.
Yeah, it's the
and
prototype
how he doesn't
for
realize it.
Yeah, it's the prototype for the Sentry, and then for the Sentry, and then for the Sentry bots, and this is Project.
Show how he gains his crew of robots and how he builds them or something. It just.
Yeah.
The only thing that would make me a little hesitant about that would be if it turns into Caprica.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't want to have a Caprica.
We don't want to have a Caprica. We don't want.
I love both versions of
the
Battlestar
reboot or the remake of The Prisoner. We need to have.
Oh yeah.
It needs to have. Like
if you want to do
Sailor's 2 feet, but
I mean. It would be really hard to goof up. I think it could be like any version of, say, The Fugitive or Equalizer or Mission Impossible, as long as you follow, or like any variation of Star Trek, as long as you are following the main premise. But yes, to your points, guys, don't have it be just like by the numbers. Like here's where Reinhardt had a business meeting and got laughed off the stage. We've seen that in a million mad scientist movies.
The thing I'd love for him to do is be this scientist who has like a dark, shady backers who say, look, the Space Appropriations Committee isn't going to give you this. We're going to make them give it to you.
There you go. Show his followers versus...
No. No, like he begins to start saying, "Oh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm a man of science. You're a man who we see the future of leading this planet into another dimension."
Show how
And
there were
you
other
know,
puppet masters before he became the one pulling it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then show Harry Booth, being, interviewing him, talking to him, and show, Kate and Alex's, kids, and people, two science teachers in college or something like that. Show
Mm.
show show Dan Holland as like a space pilot or something like
Instead of
that.
being a space fleet, just show why are they good with science.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and make him like, okay, we have this idea
Swiss
for this.
Family Robinson in space. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we have this idea. He says, here is, he rolls it. Here is my plan, and he rolls out this piece of paper, and it's the USS Cygnus. He says, this is what you will make for me, and this is what I will have. And he
And
has
it's got
to
to
be
have
like,
that accent. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah, he's got to have that accent of like a
Mr.
like an old,
Bond. Yeah.
like a World War II Nazi who basically is, escaped to Brazil.
I'm
But we're,
trying to think of who is a good European actor now, since we don't have Max von Sydow. Who's another one?
No.
Maximilian Schell. I mean,
No.
Chris,
You get
Waltz.
Hugo
Christopher
Weaving.
Waltz. No, Hugo Weaving, or he's the guy from Inglorious Bastards.
Oh, the
German.
Christoph Waltz.
Get Christoph Waltz. He'd be great.
I think he'd ham it up a little too much. So who's
he would know. He would know what to do.
Who's the younger? Who's the older guy? Also in Bastards, who I was actually thinking of. He's like a German guy. Please tell me he didn't just die. No, not Brule. Although he's decent. He's like a big guy, like in it. Sylvester
Not John Banner.
So Sylvester Groth. And if I show you a photo, you'll be like, "Oh, I've seen him." He actually looks a little bit like Shell.
I thought like if they were going to do a remake of The Black Hole way back, who would have made a good friggin' Hans Reinhardt? And I said Alan Rickman.
Oh,
yes, that would work.
Rickman, if he had said that line, "On my ship, you ass." I love that line where he says, "Call him off, Reinhardt. Call him off." And he's like, "On my ship, you ask."
There you go. Yes.
He said, "Please."
I didn't say yes.
Call him off.
Yeah. Hugo Weaving is a good one, I think, because lately I just saw him in a 1860s. I want to say, no, it wasn't 1860, but I saw him in some cool war western, and he is getting to that stage where he's finding ways to play other kind of important figures who are in that gray area instead of do Red Skull or Agent Smith for the billionth time. So I think he could do it totally. It's all about the material, man. It just if they give this to any film crew, make sure it's people who really like philosophical stuff, and they're not hired just because they can make it all pretty and glowy,
Yeah.
It really
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I've been thinking Reinhardt. It really moved the plot along, but you know what really defines his madness in this film? He welcomes these new guests. Then he lets them wander around his complex or his ship, watching them on a little TV screen, and then he goes, "We must liquidate them." It's like you even let them discover this stuff because he's crazy. He's obsessed with a black hole, and they were getting in his way, basically.
No, that's true. That's a good
moved
point.
the plot along.
That's the movie realizing, hey, we're in on the insanity of this, and how these characters are finally getting their head out of their ass and realizing,
it's like Jim Jones or somebody. Sure,
it is Jim Jones.
I love when he's at
the same year, wasn't it? That was 79. 78. It was 78.
Oh man,
Anyways,
they heard about it.
I got dark, but anyway.
Post Manson, they had an idea.
The thing I loved about that movie is when he's like, he says, your probe ship's only through the event horizon. How he says, we are going to slingshot ourselves in, through, and beyond. And he's like, okay, I wish you all the luck in the world. It's like, like they're all looking at him, and like you see Anthony Perkins going like, you know what? I'm gonna stay here with him. I'm gonna see what happens when this happens. And you realize at the end, Anthony Perkins is gonna be the sacrificial lamb because he he kind of like he takes the mask off of the humanoid, and the
Right.
humanoid's like this like zombie like figure. I remember being in the movie theater and people went like like that, and he says one of my greatest creations. Well, he would have died. And also he's like, "Come on, Kate, let's get out of here." And they're running towards the elevator, and Maximilian takes the whirly bird blades out and basically
Right.
garrots him. And like he's like, "You shouldn't have killed him. He was a good man." He's like, and then he turns and he says, "Protect me from Maximilian. He is dangerous." And she said, "If there's any justice, the black hole will be your grave." And he goes, Take her to surgery." And they're gonna lobotomize her. And there she is wrapped like a giant baked potato.
Sorry, I stand corrected.
Yeah, I'm like,
that whole thing.
Oh God. I mean, and I love the part Forrester's fighting the robot and he's like hitting it with his hand with the laser. He goes, "Dah, dah, dah." He's like,
and see, it's okay to introduce scary elements in otherwise, PG-13 thing, because I think that prepares you for the peril of the real world. That's a good example of good versus evil on screen.
Yeah.
And it's something for the adults so they don't feel it's over predictable. And, I want something more from a Disney movie more than just the inevitable your animal friend's dead or the mom's dead and you gotta wait for 20 minutes before you get your shit together. It's just too much. And it gets even worse the older you get. Well, it gets more annoying the older you get, because then you're just like, I really don't want to introduce this to any kid.
Well, the thing is too, this movie kind of brought a little bit of a power down for Disney, because I can remember Pete's Dragon came out the year before this, I think.
I believe you're right.
And
68.
78.
78.
Pete's Dragon came out. So then it was like the Black Hole, Tron, the Black Cauldron, which nobody ever talks about.
I really like that one, yeah.
The Black Cauldron. I don't remember any other Disney films coming out. I think Disney was like
Dragon
just trying
Slayer,
to like
and they split
Dragon
that with
Slayer
Paramount.
came out with Paramount. And I think Dragon Slayer was a great movie.
Totally.
And that's but you gotta realize Disney was like trying to like make itself grow up, and people didn't
know
want
how.
that.
And then when they saw the diminishing returns, they're like, "We're going to stop." I'm like, "Well, you're onto something."
They were like,
Squanto. Was that Disney?
Yes. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Squanto.
TV's Frank.
Your movie Squanto is playing in no movie theaters today.
Yeah.
Squanto,
God.
A Warrior's Tale is playing at 1:00.
Oh,
and
man.
that's it.
Poor Adam Beach. Love that man, but
Oh, I can remember like all of a sudden then Disney started to come back with like in the 80s they were coming back like with the the Aladdin, Little Mermaid, and stuff like that, and they were making nice little live action movies. But
eventually,
I think the Black Hole was a movie that kind of was like it's great for its time, but it kind of was like signaling to Disney, hey, we're going a little too
everywhere
far everywhere with this, and
pick a lane and choose it.
Everybody says this was on the bandwagon with Star Wars. It just happened to be released 2 years after Star Wars.
Right.
It's a year before The Empire Strikes Back.
Other than the droids, nothing really with Star Wars. It's more Lost in Space. Yeah.
It was more to me. It's more first season Space 1999.
There you go. It's because again, any sci-fi that deals with travel, it's got more to do with that. And yeah, it's a disaster movie in the last 40 minutes, but it's a compelling one as opposed to who died on the Poseidon.
Well, I find it funny that Ernest Borgnine was in the Poseidon Adventure, and then he's in this.
Yeah, you remember him trying to sacrifice himself in that one, and here he's trying to save his Heine.
Well, I think the one thing that gets me the most is that when you watch the movie, the Cygnus. I mean, I thought the Cygnus was a giant, huge spaceship. when they filmed it. Like, it's one of those,
how did they do that in space? Yeah.
It's a miniature. It's a giant. It's like a miniature, maybe about 7 feet long.
Yeah, looking at it here, I don't know how they pulled it off. I really don't, because most other stuff you can often tell there's wires and what have you, and it's just like however they hit it, good on them. If anything, it was kind of a sign that for all the other independent effects companies like Digital Domain and Rhythm and Hues, that not everything has to be just ILM. It can always be what you were doing beforehand, with puppets. What have you.
Again, like we said, in-house.
Yeah, in-house.
These were in-house guys. These were guys that had shot, had done movies and stuff like that, and they were like, okay, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this. And I think that's the great thing about watching that movie is like everything you realize it was done on the set. Everything was quiet. The guys in the back, the guys who were doing the special effects, they were doing their thing. And it's amazing to watch. They were doing computer generated special effects on that.
Yeah.
And everybody was going, wait, computer? Like, yeah, some of them had computer generated effects, which I think was amazing,
Yeah.
But the matte paintings were amazing to look at too.
They really are.
Yeah.
Steven has a suggestion for us. Gary Oldman as Reinhardt.
Oh God.
Oh.
I feel like he's done that to death, but hey.
If you dial him back from the Fifth Element bad guy, and
all right. That won't be hard. He's in the minority. He actually hated making that movie because he didn't want to do it, which is just so weird because he does a good job. So you're just like, oh, you're too close.
Or maybe he'd kind of do his character from one of the more recent Planet of the Apes movies.
That would be cool. Yeah. And just the same kind of power dynamic. I'm right. You are wrong.
Can I just say that Robert Forster, after this happened, after he did this movie, he does Alligator, and then he kind of like disappears for a while. He does low budget stuff.
He agrees. He said this was like the last big Hollywood movie he made before he became Mr. B movie, and it's a shame that I will encounter people who've seen Breaking Bad and they only know him from that. I'm like, I've seen him in everything. What are you talking about?
He was in Breaking Bad. I don't remember him being in Breaking.
Yeah,
Jackie Brown brought him back.
It did, but
Jackie Brown was like, Max Cherry, bail bondsman.
Remember, you've seen the Breaking Bad movie El Camino, right?
No, I haven't. No.
Okay,
he was in that. Oh, I forgot
he plays the guy. He plays the guy in the mechanic shot, Ed.
Okay.
And he won a Saturn Award for it. Fun fact.
I love when he talks. He's like, we could also be dead. I love his like his deadpan. I don't take crap from anybody here on this spaceship. But I think the thing I love is like he's like he done like Reflection in a Golden Eye. He'd done Medium
this was
Cool.
Like immediately after that. Yeah.
And now he's doing this, and it's like you're like going to yourself, man, he's a good actor. I remember seeing him in Alligator, and he did another movie where he plays a guy whose wife gets raped. It was like
Vigilante.
a Death Wish kind of
Vigilante.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love Vigilante. Oh,
with recurring co-star Williamsons. There you go.
Yeah.
They did so many of the same kinds of movies. You're like, you're a good guy, good actor.
I found a Max Cherry bail bondsman T-shirt on TeePublic. I don't think they have it anymore. Yeah, they had the Max Cherry, bail bondsman T-shirt, and I was looking for it. And I was like, shit, I should love to get. Right about the time he died, I was like, Max Cherry
that's
bail
some
bondsman.
dedication. Reddit has so much good stuff. I'm always trying to get some kind of custom T-shirt, and I applaud anyone who can make that because it's not cheap, and
well, they do have the Black Hole T-shirts.
Oh well, that's good, but
they've got one with a Palomino on it, and then they got one with the Cygnus.
Well, there you go.
They got Vincent. They've
Maybe
got
that's
old
the
Bob.
best
They
way
got one
to-
with Maximilian.
So maybe that's what people got to do at cons. They got to be wearing that, and so then everyone can hang themselves out to dry when they're like, I don't know what even that is. I'm like, okay, then we're done talking. Because
you never heard of the black hole? It's like the
black
Simpson
eye. But yeah, it's like if studios want to keep claiming, hey, stop doing that cosplay, stop doing that custom T-shirt, it's like, well, then acknowledge the fandom, acknowledge the audience that you have, give them what they're looking for. You know?
There are fans of this movie, and there are Facebook pages that have
That's good.
this movie, and you do see a lot of like behind the scenes stuff.
Isn't
you
it
know,
embarrassing that independent bloggers have to do all these reunions instead of, you know, the filmmakers coming out of the woodwork every 20 years and saying, hey, here's something new. You know, it's.
I mean, Gary Nelson, God bless him.
He passed
Great
away
director.
around COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, Gary Nelson died. Robert Forster died of cancer.
Unfortunately.
You know, fortunately, Anthony Perkins died of AIDS. Ernie Borgnine, I think, died of just old age.
Mm-hmm.
Yvette Mimeo is not with us anymore. The only one who's with us is Joseph Bottoms.
Yeah.
And his brother.
It's Timothy, right?
Timothy Bottoms.
Yeah.
Timothy Bottoms.
Was Joseph in Apocalypse Now?
No, wait.
Okay, which of the Bottoms was in Apocalypse Now? Sam Bottoms, that's it. Okay.
Sam Bottoms was in it.
Okay.
He passed away in 08.
Timothy Bottoms played a great villain in Roller Coaster.
Yes.
Yeah, he was also
one of Spielberg's favorite
did
movies.
the best
That's my
George
favorite
Bush ever.
Sensoron movie. It had the best plot of all of them, I thought.
Yeah.
And I think it was made by the Columbo creators too, Livingston.
Yep.
I think it was, yeah.
And the great thing too, he did the best George Bush.
He really did.
If you watch the show, That's My Bush.
Mm-hmm.
He fucking nailed George.
The first time I saw him do it was in the Crocodile Hunter movie.
Well, no, the first time I saw him do George Bush was when they did the 9/11 movie. Do you remember that?
Oh, that
they did a movie with 9/11, and he played George Bush.
Oh man!
And I was like, holy shit, who's playing? Oh, it's Timothy Bottoms. Like,
they always pick him up.
Flight 89 or 94, that one.
Not that one. Like this was.
I don't think Bush is even in that one. No.
No, this was like a 9/11 Time of Crisis or something. And what's funny is it had so many other awesome actors who've been in every presidential political thriller, and some of them have also repeatedly played Condoleezza. And
not the Nicolas Cage one either.
Nope, not that one.
Okay.
But James is right in that he was kind of on that calling card for whatever reason. They're just like, we need you to play the president, and if we can't have you play the president in a crappy TV or direct-to-video movie, we want you to play George Bush.
I think the thing that gets me the most is when you've watched The Black Hole so many times, you begin to realize that this was a movie that was like, so it was not meant to be a happy sci-fi movie. It's supposed to be like, okay, what happens at the end?
Yes. How does it end?
How does it end? Was there going to, and that's the thing.
It leaves you longing for more, but it's more natural as opposed to how many sequels came out of this?
None.
Mm-hmm. But I would have taken.
Yeah, did they go back in time at the end and they're heading to Earth?
What happened?
I would have accepted a trilogy of this. That would be okay.
Oh, yeah.
What happened was at the end, they got through the black hole.
Okay.
They're all looking at each other and they're like, holy crap, we went through it. And then they look up, you see like the probe ship take off, and then there's the planet in front of the star. And you're like, okay, now they're going to find their own way home. But in the Alan Dean Foster book,
it's not necessarily Earth.
No, it could be a different planet altogether.
Obscene also mentioned off air.
It's not the moon of Earth.
Stephen also mentioned off air how the final countdown is a mirror of this. An obscure
poster art, yeah.
Kirk Douglas and his chin fight the Japanese.
Wasn't it young Martin Sheen also, I think?
It was Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Martin Sheen, Ron O'Neill, Catherine Ross, Charles Durning.
Just a weird ass cast. I don't know what to make of that
James
movie.
Ferrantino.
Oh man.
And like Martin Sheen's like
favorite.
where she's like, supposedly I go back, I meet my grandfather, I get into a fight with him, and I kill him. I don't exist. We can't, and they're like, they send up all the planes to fight the Japanese Zeros to stop the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And he's
Yeah.
like, bring all the planes back. What? Bring all the planes back. I'm gonna scrub the mission. We're gonna go through the thing again, okay?
He's getting up there in age, yeah.
And the captain of the USS Nimitz.
Nimitz. And each time you're expecting the Europe song to play.
Oh God!
Thank God it's not. But this has been delightful, guys. I feel like we have pretty much summed up. This was a very rare, like two totally different movies, but pretty agreeable. One requires a little effort. The other
They're both in space.
In space, but without any pigs. And this, the second one was kind of like, I think everyone should teach like a film studies visual effects course and just show this. It's like, hey, regardless of whether you even like sci-fi, like this is a natural, just well done movie. Like, even if you want to blast the plot apart, it still does so many things way better compared to other ones. Like they're coming out with another Alien movie, and I'm just like, I have no interest. It's
Romulus. I heard about that. What the hell is that about?
It's by the guys who did Don't Breathe, and it just looks like, again, it doesn't look like a Saw type movie, but it looks just like a lazy gore fest. I'm like, that's not what I want from Alien. The gore has to be earned. Same thing with Star Wars. They keep going to just the pew pew fights. I'm like, I still got to care about at least one scientist or Jedi before we get to the substance, or not the substance, the content. I need substance first to get to the content.
Can I just say one thing? Last night I did barroom trivia, and it was Star Wars night.
Oh man!
And somebody asked the question. The guy asked the question: what planet, what unknown region planet did Kylo Ren find the Emperor Palpatine? And I wrote it down, and this guy yells out, "Fuck the Rise of Skywalker! Fuck Disney! They fucking ruined that fucking trilogy! Fucking cocksucker!" And everyone, whoa, hey, whoa! guy was, atypical barroom drunk fanboy,
Yeah, you're at a bar, so you're gonna have some issues.
Yeah, there was an issue in a bar.
Oh, do tell. Yeah,
I don't think he had issues so much as he had subscriptions.
Oh, he has a fucking library. He walks,
careful. The two librarians here.
Yeah. I'm talking a library of just a lot of anger and rage and well, you didn't get laid in high school, kind
there
of.
should have been some librarian who came up eventually and just was like,
Shh. This young one is not worth the effort. Come, let me get you something.
If you don't want to answer it, no one is forcing you. I don't like that movie. I'm not going to go out and be a dickhead. Just saying. Yeah. Goes around, comes around. Like, let's say it's your favorite movie. How would you react if you got that same amount of venom?
Yeah.
I mean, I would just.
I don't get people that go on social media and pick on.
No one is forcing me to like this movie.
Movies or music that you like, and you got nothing better to do.
No one's forcing you to watch.
Sad little man or woman.
You are a sad, strange little man. Yeah, there you go. Yep. But yeah, I mean, it means a lot just to. I mean, I would have been just a wise ass. I would have just been like, I would have been like, I don't know, 42 from Hitchhiker's Guide. I just would have been. I would have been like that meme that has a photo of Gandalf and makes all these Obi-Wan and Harry Potter references. Like, just do that. Don't break the ice with humor.
I still giggle a little bit because of the fact that when Disney brought out the black hole, right? I remember Star Trek being advertised. Mm-hmm. The black hole was basically just done like as a 45 second advert, right? And it's like a place, a thing of such immense power that planets and lights as well. Meanwhile, you've got Star Trek coming out going, Star Trek's coming out, you hear like, you see like the preview and you're like, well, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, Star Trek, a motion picture, and it's like this big giant push. Yeah, and you're just like, okay,
knights in shining armor.
Disney's releasing this, and Paramount's releasing this, and I think the big fan base is going to go with the guy with the pointy ears and the other guy who overacts. Let's go see Star Trek. My parents fell asleep during Star Trek.
They got better.
They got better though.
I did notice the beginning scenes of Black Hole, very reminiscent of the first Star Trek movie, with just big shots of space ships, long. Remember that?
Yeah,
it was all hardware. Yeah,
true.
It reminded me right off the bat.
Hardware wars. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
Hardware wars. You'll laugh, you'll cry.
They were the same year. They were the same year, like you're saying. Yeah.
I can remember like being in the movie theater when the black hole hit, and they played a Disney cartoon beforehand.
Well, which one was it?
And just like, I don't know. I don't know. It could have been something they just, they.
I was there when
on.
the towers.
I don't know. And then I'm like, and then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, I told my mom a couple years ago before she passed, I was like, do you remember going to see this? And they played a Disney cartoon beforehand. She's like, yeah, I think they did a Donald Duck cartoon. And I'm like thinking to myself, let's see, Donald Duck, I'm all happy and nice. The black hole, somebody gets, eviscerated, and some guy gets blown up. It's like, oh, Jesus, blown up.
Okay,
so that was a different black hole.
That's the parody
when they played it in Times Square.
Got it.
Okay. I'm gonna still say this. Here's the funny thing too. Yvette Mimieux and Ernest Borgnine were in a movie called The Neptune Factor, like 3 or 4 years before.
Wow.
Yeah, before.
I've seen Saturn Free. I have not seen the Neptune.
Yes, I saw the Neptune Factor.
I've heard the name. Yeah, I've heard the title.
Directed by TV director Daniel Battery. My God.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with a bathysphere or something like that.
Yes.
Ben Gazzar's in it.
So Mimi and Borgnine were on this, like you say, and what was your take on it? I know
I didn't like it. I didn't get it. I don't know what the hell happened. All I know is I watched it, and I watched it like a couple times, and I always think of Gilbert Gottfried talking about the aliens coming out of the spaceship, going, Ben Gazzar, why didn't he get a series?
What's it rated on IMDb? A 4.4. Perfect.
Oh,
you know what it really
by
needed?
Fox.
You know what it really needed? A killer bulldozer.
A killer balloon. Perfect.
I'm sorry. What it really needed was Richard Basehart.
Yes. Gypsy moves.
Why are you having a chance with a? I'm going to. Isn't it me when they do that Gypsy Moon sketch? Crow does the best Jack Haley I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
Why are you having a chance with her?
Yeah. He's really good with that, as well as his impression of what's his face?
Gregory Peck.
He does Gregory Peck, but then he also does what's his face from The Elephant Man? Potatoes.
John
Hurt.
John Hurt, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Chief, would you like to see my cathedral?
Of course, there's also his David Jansen.
And David Jansen, yeah.
I love. I'm Chuck Heston for Contel. The Great Lady Down.
Oh God! At least he said that and not Orca with Richard Harris.
I was making somebody crack up a couple of years ago. I was listening to Opie and Anthony, and Jim Norton was talking about the Elephant Man, and they were talking about how he did a shaving kit. I got a shaving kit. Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm like, so I started going. I said, hey, you guys want to hear something funny? I says, to John Merrick going to McDonald's. A Big Mac. I got a Big Mac.
That's
I
perfect.
love giving my case.
People need to continue the trend of making fun of, if it takes a spoof to remind older generations about earlier actors, I think that'll always be a hit. So next week I was thinking we could go into Men on a Mission stuff with the Wild Geese.
Oh God.
And well, it's a pretty open chat. Like we could talk about other just wacky Men on a Mission, Italian
Oh, God,
trash,
yes.
and because there's plenty of others, but why that movie and its two unrelated sequels, which I'm sure you can find on YouTube, are just something.
Wild Geese 2 and Wild Geese Take a Shit on My Lawn.
And then Wild Geese 3, who cares?
This time it's personal.
This time
Wild
it's
Geese
diarrhea. Yeah.
Wild Geese 3. This time they're getting with Wild Geese 3. This time they're flying south for the winter.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked